Hello and welcome to episode 2 for the tutorial on map making. I have a cold coming unfortunately and I don't feel too good, but we will see how it goes, and if I can hold out then the video will go up. If I can't then you won't have to worry because you won't have heard it. So anyway, starting out, we've got our 3 folders: the blank map folder, the folder that we're going to export into, which we can clearly see here, and I have cleared off my desktop because it was a bit packed, and then the default directory for the install of the game. And we're going to just drag these folders into the corners so that we can actively use all 3 of them. So we could do it like that, I guess. That'll work. So we're going to export from the main folder into the maps folder for the exports, and then we're going to import into the main folder, drag everything that we want if we haven't had to edit it into the or after we've edited it into the main, into the blank folder map, and then we're going to go from there, import it and move it around. Now there's a few things that you need to remember when exporting and importing. Where you export to, you always want to check the i3D after exporting to make sure that it hasn't got any added additional entries for the map area, because if those same directories aren't created within the map folder for everything, then the objects will either not work if it's something that has an animated any animations to it, or scripts, etc. And if it's a texture related only, then it will have texture related issues. So bear that in mind. From here we're just going to take fields, which will go into Goldcrest, and then we want fields and animals, and we'll export them with files. No, we don't need to go into that one yet. Exports, blank map, and we'll have it create its directory. I would if you want, you could export them as individual ones. Now the reason that we've gone with fields is the fields actually have their own entries built within them, and instead of recreating all of these, it's easier just to export the one that we want and just go from there. So we don't need this open. And one thing I didn't mention in the previous tutorial was never ever under any circumstances modify the map of Goldcrest, Sovnoska, or any map from the base game. Never save it before leaving. Always just exit when it asks you to. If you wish to save, say no. That way you won't break your multiplayer, you won't break your map. The base game maps are not there to be edited, they're there to be extracted from and to build blank maps from. But other than that, never hit the save button. You just leave them as they are. It's super easy to make this map 01 only with everything there functional. In fact, I'm not going to do it, but what I will do is, if you want Goldcrest, for example, and you want to modify Goldcrest like in the previous tutorial where we selected these 4, you can select everything. and then have a folder on your desktop with a subfolder like we had, where in our case it was called maps. Export it all into there, and then zip it up, and this will function as a map that you can edit and play with in game. So no need to modify the base game map whatsoever. Now that we've got our stuff that we need, ooh, gold crystal folder. This is personal preference. You don't need to do it, but the more if you've got multiple folders with textures in, if you've got multiple textures of the same thing being used, but they're all in different folders spread out throughout your directories, it's going to increase the amount of memory that not memory, but well, yeah, and memory that you're using, that your map's having to use. It's more easier just to remove that problem and just have it as one folder with all the textures and go from there. And if they're using the same kind of textures but they're slightly different, then you can always rename the texture within the i3D and rename the actual texture itself to correspond with that renaming, and drop it in into your textures folder. That's something for a different day though. So we're going to Control H and then paste this into here, and because we know there's no subfolders within the Goldcrest Valley folder, so we know all of this is what we want to remove, and there's nothing after that we need to remove, but we don't know if there's any of this below the area that we wish to remove it from. So we'll go to the end of files, in which is where it tells it to look for the textures, and just make sure there's nothing like this name below, and then we'll hit next, and can't find anything, so it means it's all good to go. So we'll click above files again and then hit next and replace all, and done. Now we can save this, and we can go into the textures Goldcrest folder and select everything in here, cut it and paste it into here, and then we know the Goldcrest folder is now empty, we can delete it. And that's how simple that part is. Now, as you can see, we've got corresponding folders that are identical for the directories. We're just going to select everything here and copy it and paste it over to here, and then I didn't do it, but normally if we'll ask do you wish to overwrite, and you can just say yes, and if we look in here we'll have the original texture, and then we'll have the additional textures that was added, additional scripts that was added within, and those is what was added, and the others was what was there before. So we don't lose anything by doing that. It's just easier to do it, because once you've done that, you can go ahead and delete the segments that you have exported, ready for something else that you wish to export. Or you could just use their cut and then paste, and that would have, it's up to you. So something else I didn't mention was, before zipping up, I always say delete these three, the cache files, because you don't need them. I didn't delete them, and the reason being is because this is a work in progress folder, so if you want to delete them, I would strongly suggest make a backup of your zip file before you do it. So zip your blank map up, save it as save a backup of it, then go into the version that you're going to use to test from within game, and delete these three text cache files, and go from there. Apparently deleting these can cause some problems if you extract from that particular zip file to modify the game from. I've never come across it myself, but it's best not to take the chance. Also, saving, as some people like to say Google is your friend. Well, the same can be said about saving. You need to save regularly. This isn't farm sim in game where if you've got game extensions or something, you've got auto save active, etc. You've my mouse has stopped working. Why? That's better. My mouse is playing up for some reason, and I don't know why. It was working fine before. Whatever. Now there is something else I completely forgot, which is somewhere around. Those of you who have been around the blank map will have noticed that there was these. And yeah, I completely forgot them. So we will go ahead and remove them, and which should be, is it this one? Yeah. Because it's not considered a fruit like grass, corn, wheat, etc. So we'll just remove them because they can be annoying. We'll just set our bush size back up to 400 and go from there. Just removing anything that we don't need again. Because it's best that you make sure that all of that's done before you start working with it, because then it won't be a pain in the ass to sort out later on. Perfect. Because we've modified the terrain, all of this is one level. When we import the buildings, you will see buildings floating. Nothing we can do about that. What we will do though is we'll go to view and show animal, well in this case nav meshes, or animal zones as I call them. And then when we click on here, we can see the nav meshes already, but we're going to be recreating them, and when we've recreated them we'll be able to see them. And what we will do is we can either modify the terrain, so we could click on this one, the terrain sculpting, and change the brush size might be recommended. And build something. Entirely up to you how you want to do it. You know, and you can make quite a lot of stuff out of just messing around. Obviously the idea being is that you're sculpting the land to your liking, trying to change it from being flat to whatever. We're not going to do that though, because we're not interested in that. I tend to, one second. I tend to go with a blank map and plan out how I want things to be, and build my terrain around what I've already planned out, because that way I know where I want a hill to actually be, where I want it to be flat. It's a lot easier because I don't use real world terrain data. It's all from the head, basically all created within my own head. I always find them kind of maps to be a lot more fun because they're not based on any particular area, although they could be considered based on somewhere that the author or authors have been or seen. So this is where we might want to consider where would we have a main road. So we'll select concrete, and because we're going to go from the center somewhere, we'll just say a main road is going up here, and it will veer off. Completely up to you how you want to do things. Like I said, this is just me messing around, and nothing spectacular. And then we'll have the farm, so it's just off of the main road here somewhere. And so blend the dirt and this in, and the farm will be somewhere here, and we'll probably have the cows on probably here actually, or maybe back here. Maybe this will all be the cows on, quite a big pen, and then this is the area for the dairy. And maybe here we'll have some kind of field, so we could have it as grass field maybe. Now I have to remember how you do a grass field, because you have to select a channel. Clearly not that one. Is it 1 and 6? Nope. A7, 1 and 7. 3, 7. No. There it is. 2 and 7. And we will change this to square. And make some kind of grass field over here. And all this does is it just tells the game that this is where the field is, so when you come to mow it, it would automatically become ploughed and ready for you to do the fertilization levels. And we will put the field boundary on it so that you could actually buy this field. And for now we'll just go with a basic squarish field, nothing spectacular. Just trying to keep it as square as possible, or as flat as possible around the edges, so it doesn't look a mess. And this is now, this would show up on the PDA as being a field. Better than what it was, I guess. At least it's more flatter. What we do need to do is import the stuff, so we need to go to blank map, maps, and then import animal i3D. And there's fields and animals, and the reason we wanted to have it so it included everything for the animals because we could actually delete sheep, we could delete pigs, cows, chickens, we could delete whichever animals we didn't want, but we have to have the animal zones created within the same directory as they are exported. because if they don't, they won't work, and you'll get errors thrown within the game. So it's easier just to keep the directories identical. As for fields, we don't want all of them, we just want one of them, in this case we want field 1, and we're going to Control B and left click where we want it, and then we're going to select its by trigger and Control B and place that where we want it, and we're just roughly doing it. The map indicator is where the number will appear on the PDA. You want it to be in the center of your field, so Control B and place it as central as possible on your field. Now, because of doing the boundaries, I will show you quickly. You can't actually see anything here, so you don't know what the field boundaries are. So if we select fields, scripts, FS17 map, and then toggle render field area, we can see where we just done a field boundary. So now we can create it correctly, and I always tend to go from here and the second one, Control B, and then we'll go on to the third one and then Control B. Now if you add a funny shape to your field, you could create this one and Control D and it would duplicate it like so, and then rename it over here to 0, 1, 2. Definitely something wrong with my Windows install. So I've uninstalled a bunch of old programs that I used to use for exporting things and modifying things, old Giants editors as well, and since I've done that it's been acting up. Anyway, from here we could say that the field goes maybe it has a funny shape to it. We could say it's like this, and then maybe it's flat on this side, so we could go Control D, set that one up there, rename that one, and you're only renaming them more or less because you know then which one is which effectively, but and for some reason my mouse stopped holding the left mouse button down. I've also noticed that since for the last few days my mic's actually been playing up. It's like it does this weird sound, and we will straighten up this corner in a second by adjusting the secondary one like so. And now we've done a part where it's not exactly square, but we could say that this is how the field is, and then we could actually go and fill this part in, and we've got an odd shaped field, and the AI workers would work this field as normal. And the reason that you try and cover the whole of your map for the boundaries is if you want a true representation of the price, we can have it so it does this. So if you select fields and then go to scripts, FS17 map, set field size, and then hit that, this will be updated. The information within the trigger will be updated to reflect this. So the field size is now 0.571. Its price scale, you can change this to 0. Whatever to reduce the price, NPC indexes which NPC owns the field. So being field 1, we could say farmer 1 owns this, and then if you're doing a role play, say there's 2 farms in the area, yourself and another competing farmer, you could set every field up out there that you don't own as field 1 and field 2, and every field that you do own as field 1 by the NPC index, not by the actual field number. And what that would do is then whenever you went to any fields that you don't own, it would always be the same farmer that you end up speaking with, or that you end up seeing the information for, and asking if you wish to do any missions. Now there is a way of turning missions off. You add an entry within here, and basically it's just a checkbox to say yes or no. And if you own it, the same. You don't own this one, but we will fix that, don't worry, but not just yet. So that's how to make a field done. Obviously your road wouldn't be, you know, it's like I said, it's can I now move mouse? I'm not sure why it keeps locking up on me. It's something really weird. I definitely need to reinstall Microsoft, I think. So anyway, we can see that the animal zones, the buildings, everything are floating. All the nav meshes are now showing up because we've imported the nav meshes for the buildings, and all 4 of them are there: cow, sheep, pigs and chickens. So what we're going to do is we will I guess paint the area that we want for the cows first would be easier. So if we select this and go down to info layer, make sure that 1 is selected and it's on info layer, and then go over to the cows. Thank you. And then right click and delete everything over here first. You don't want anything left over this side for the cows. And now probably there would be easier. And what we're doing is we're actually repainting right now the cow nav mesh, in which when it's done will become blue after we've created it. And we're going to give them quite a big area. You don't need to actually be completely square with all of this. But we are going to give them a decent sized area. Maybe my mouse is just dying on me. We'll straighten this side up. And right, now we want, from the animals, we want the cow stuff. So cow stable probably be best to bring over first. add-on, which is the manure and slurry. And this is the silage clamp, and then we've got all the tip triggers, which we'll be setting up soon. Manure heap, which we'll just dump there for now. Manure, a liquid manure tank, which is its trigger, straw plane and dirt area. Okay, so that can go over to there because that's part of this. And now we can't actually place this because we can't see the information for the nav mesh, so we'll select the nav mesh and then we'll go create nav mesh, and from here we'll change radius to 1.2. A shape building mask, or shape build mask. We'll click on that and clear everything and select 0. Basically what you've selected in info layer here, 0 is for your cows, so you'd select 0 in here, and the next and only third option to edit is this one, calling info layer channels. Change that, clear, make sure only 0 is selected, and then hit recreate. Now we've got a cow zone nav mesh all pre-built, and we was kind of close on where we want this to be, so we will we'll reposition this. Now the feeding troughs you want slightly over on the blue, not completely but slightly. My mouse has stopped working again for the left click button. And I think we'll have this actually quite far up here, maybe to about there. Or what if we did it this way? And then have it so this is the cows can walk in this way or these two ways, and this would be where you drop your cows off, and that would probably be easier. That way you can't actually drive into the cow barn and the door isn't always open because these aren't animated doors. Now, because this has a the cows would actually walk through this because they wouldn't see it as being there, we're going to go to shape and then build nav mesh mask, select this and clear anything that's there, and then select 0 for the cows and then OK. And when we recreate this nav mesh, it will include this building information and sculpt the nav mesh, this blue area around this building, and which is important. Next we will I'll probably have to knock this back a little bit further over this way, so a fence or something could be put here, which I think we should theoretically want to do now, so I don't forget. And probably just finish that off like that. So when we recreate this blue zone will go a bit further in, and we can put a fence or hedge or whatever we want. Just separating the cow area just to tidy it up. But basically what we've done now is we've made a field. In fact, we could actually get rid of that from showing FS17 maps, and then toggle render field area, just hit it again, it'll turn it off. Sorry about that. This mouse is really pissing me off right now. It's like it locks up. So we've exported and imported buildings. We've done the same for, do you want to turn today, mouse? We've done the field boundaries and the field trigger, and because I'm not in the mood for my mouse acting up like it is right now, I'm going to actually save it here, and I'll continue the tutorial before I smash the mouse. So thanks for watching. Sorry that I've cut this one shorter than expected, but technical issues have resulted in this. We will continue from where we've left off in the next one, so be sure to check that one out. Hopefully I'll feel a lot better and I'll have a mouse that actually works. And also make sure that you stop by the channels that are linked in my YouTube channel for the members of the Monkey Show. They often do things themselves, so when we're not playing together streaming, they most likely doing a video of their own, so check them out as well. But until next time, take care and see you later.